I was having an experience which I'll never ever forget. I was 19 years old at the time, and it was quite a surprise to find myself right in the middle of a war, the front seat, literally.
Mum was worried, Dad, but parents, they worry, don't they, over you, so no, it was a worrying time, really. It was a worrying time for us, not knowing if and when we're going to get out, and it was very worrying for the parents as well, like, you know, if their sons or husbands and all that was going to come out because of the way the war was going. But once it was over, it was just a waiting game.
During this conflict, there was a bit of anxiety because if you're in the middle of a war trapped there, you don't really know which side accidentally could hit your ship. So it's quite scary times, and it wasn't a glorious place to be. Obviously, when you see a conflict like that and you watch it on the televisions, on the television or film, war looks glorious, but to be honest, it is not. It is completely horrific.
We don't know if the Israelis are going to push further from where they'd stopped on the Sinai side, further into Egypt. Well, we don't know. All we know is we're stuck in there like trapped animals. What would happen? Who knows? Nobody could tell us. And that's what we had to live with. It wasn't a prison as you would know it, but you couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't do anything. Just had to carry on. That's it.
في هذه البقعة من العالم، وبالتحديد في منطقة البحيرات المرة الواقعة بقناة السويس المصرية، ولمدة تزيد على 8 سنوات، تشكل كيان أممي قائم بذاته وصل عدد سكانه إلى 3000 نسمة. أرضيته أسطول من أسطح السفن يبلغ 14 سفينة. كيان شبه مستقل له أعرافه وتقاليده، نشيده الوطني وطوابعه البريدية، نظامه التجاري المحدد وألعابه الأولمبية. كيان منعزل عن العالم لكنه متأثر بأحداثه. كيان اكتسى سطحه الخارجي برمال الصحراء الصفراء، لذا أطلق عليه اسم الأسطول الأصفر. إنها حالة فريدة واستثنائية في عالم السفن، ومن أطول رحلات الإبحار في التاريخ على الإطلاق. وقعت أحداثها على أراضٍ ومياه مصرية، إلا أن أبطالها غربيون تشابكت مصائرهم مع تقلبات التاريخ والأحداث في المنطقة والعالم، وعايشوا مسارات حروب 3 دارت جميعها على بعد أمتار من منطقة تمركزهم. من هؤلاء الأبطال؟ ماذا حدث لهم؟ ما علاقتهم بالأراضي المصرية والحروب التي دارت فيها؟ وما سبب بقائهم فيها كل تلك السنوات؟ حكايتنا هي حكاية الأسطول الأصفر.
Mein Name ist Heino Clemens. Ich war 22 Jahre, war als 3. und 2. Offizier auf dem Schiff Nordwind. Auf die Nordwind habe ich angemustert 1967. Die Reise war, ich mache das mal kurz, die Ausreise war von England nach Indien und von Indien, Karachi war unser letzter Hafen am indischen Subkontinent, und von da aus sind wir dann nach Aden, Djibouti, Suezkanal. Aber wir hatten eine Wartezeit in Karachi von 3 Wochen. Von Karachi sind wir los, dann sollten wir nach Aden, Jemen, und wollten da Petroleum nehmen, also Brennstoff nehmen. Diesel-Fuel Oil. Und in Eden war Aufstand. 4 Tage bevor wir Eden erreichten, bekamen wir vom Agenten Bescheid. Eden ist geschlossen, können keinen Bunkern liefern, wir sollten weiterfahren nach Djibouti. Djibouti, aufgrund dessen, dass in Eden dicht war, dass es keinen Bunker gab, hat sich in Djibouti natürlich eine große Warteschlange aufgebaut. Und wir mussten auch 24 Stunden warten in Djibouti, bevor wir Brennstoff bekamen. Ja, wir bekamen Brennstoff in Djibouti und sind dann durchgefahren von Djibouti nach Port Suez, durch den Suezkanal rein bis zum Bittersee. In Djibouti, muss man sagen, noch lag ein amerikanisches Passagierschiff, welches klare Anweisungen hatte, nicht durch den Suezkanal zu fahren.
My name is Sean Dring. I was an able seaman on the MV Port Invercargill, which was a British cargo ship which predominantly sailed to Australia and New Zealand from the UK, taking general cargo there and bringing back vegetables, fruit, meat back to the UK. That was basically our run. On this particular journey, we had been out to Australia and had loaded cargoes back for the United Kingdom. We left Fremantle to cross the Indian Ocean and come in through Aden and the Suez Canal. When we arrived at the southern end, the vessels were moored outside and a convoy of 14 ships would commence the next day, first light, through the Little Bitter Lake, and then we would progress the journey through to Port Said, which is roughly a 24-hour journey. On that morning, we upped anchor and the convoy began to move into the Bitter Lake.
في خضم الحرب العالمية الباردة الدائرة بين المعسكرين الشرقي والغربي، تنشط الحروب الاستخباراتية وتشتعل. في 13 من مايو وصلت معلومات استخباراتية سوفيتية تكشف نية إسرائيل مهاجمة العرب، ابتداء من الجبهة السورية التي حشدت على مشارفها 11 لواء إسرائيليا. في هذه الأثناء تفاعلت السلطات المصرية مع الأحداث بموجب ارتباطها باتفاقية الدفاع المشترك مع سوريا والخارجة منذ سنوات قليلة من حرب وعدوان إسرائيلي على أراضيها في عام 1956. جاوزت قوات برية كبيرة من الجيش المصري قناة السويس ورابطت في شبه جزيرة سيناء لإظهار حالة الاستعداد، مما دفع الحكومة الإسرائيلية إلى إعلان حالة التأهب بين صفوف جيشها. في 22 من شهر مايو عام 1967 أعلنت مصر إغلاق مضيق تيران أمام السفن الإسرائيلية. في صباح 23 أغلقت مدخل خليج العقبة أمام جميع السفن التي تحمل العلم الإسرائيلي، وكذلك ناقلات البترول المتجهة إلى إيلات على اختلاف جنسياتها. في هذه الأثناء توترت العلاقات المصرية الإسرائيلية بشكل بالغ، وحشد كل فريق كامل طاقاته، وتصاعدت نبرات التحدي والاستعداد، وكانت الأجواء تنذر باندلاع المواجهة في أي لحظة.
On the way home from the Far East, we bunkered, we stopped in Aden and bunkered there to pick up fresh water and oil, and we picked up some supplies there as well. During this time, the sixth engineer and I decided, we asked the chief if we could go ashore just for a last minute bit of shopping before we go into the Suez Canal and up the Red Sea. As a result of that, we were on shore and we met a couple of British soldiers, Marines, and they were on patrol, and they said to us, I think you two had better get back to your ship because it's going to kick off round here. We didn't really know what that meant, so we went back to the ship. Anyway, we'd finished bunkering in Aden with the oil and water and supplies, and we headed up the Red Sea. I think it was before we went up the Red Sea, or during this time, we had a meeting with the ship's officers and the captain, and they knew something was going wrong, but they said, should we carry on? They took a vote whether they should carry on up to the Suez Canal or turn round and go back round the bottom end of Africa. However, my personal vote was carry on.
Für mich war das klar, es war auch interessant zu verfolgen, was in der Presse stand. Wir hatten ja jeden Tag eine Seite bekommen, Schreibmaschinenseite, die der Funke aufgenommen hat, was los war in der Welt, in Deutschland und in der Welt. Und da zeichnete sich das schon ab, dass es wohl zu Schwierigkeiten kommen würde zwischen Ägypten und Israel. Also wir sind weiter, die Schiffe lagen an Anker, lagen fest also, getrennt, 14 Schiffe. Wir sind Seewache weiter durchgegangen. Wir waren, als ob wir auf See waren. Es wurde Wache weitergegangen. Die Schiffe waren alle im Dunkeln. Es ist keine Licht, wir durften kein Licht anmachen. Alles nichts zu sehen, damit man uns nicht sieht. Und am ersten Tag im Suezkanal fingen alle an, in ihre Nationalfarben auf die Luken des Schiffes zu malen und außenbords auch die Nationalfarben raufzumalen, nach dem Motto, wir sind neutral, wir haben nichts damit zu tun.
لم يمض شهر على إعلان إغلاق المضيق لتأتي حرب عام 1967 بين إسرائيل من جانب ومصر وشقيقاتها العرب من جانب آخر. وجاء صباح 5 يونيو حزيران حاملا معه أولى شرارات تلك الحرب.
I was on watch when all of a sudden we heard an amazing noise of a jet engine, and as we looked up, we seen a formation of 3 fighter planes coming across from the Sinai side, just above mast height, and flew between ourselves, the last 4 ships. The 3 planes crossed. They immediately climbed to a high altitude, and as we looked at them, they began to do what we now know was a means of blowing up the runway at the airport or the Air Force base. We could see it. It was less than 1.25 miles away, our binoculars. We watched the jets bomb the runways first, and then the Israeli warplanes which were parked out by the hangars were then attacked. That formation of 3 Israeli jets, once they dropped their payload, they came back across towards Sinai again very, very low, and mast height, and then across back over Sinai. No sooner had they gone than another wave of 3 came in and did exactly the same. And we watched these formations over the next couple of hours. Every 4 minutes, 5 minutes, they would be coming across, doing absolutely as much damage as they could to the Egyptian Air Force base, which they literally obliterated.
While the war was going on, we just saw everything that was going on because we was only a mile from the Ismailia airport. So we saw the planes, we saw everything. So, I mean, night times we stayed out on deck and we was just watching the battle going on shoreside around Ismailia and the surrounding areas. We watched all the tracer bullets, all the red bullets. We could hear all the explosions going and all sorts. But the captain still said to us, you know, please, you know, be careful. So we still watched it. So we really didn't sleep much for those 6 days.
انقضت الأيام الستة وبدا أن الحرب قد وضعت أوزارها، واحتلت إسرائيل شبه جزيرة سيناء وسيطرت على الجانب الشرقي من القناة. فاتخذت السلطات المصرية قراراً بوقف الملاحة نهائياً في القناة والسماح فقط بمرور سفن الركاب للعودة إلى بلدانهم، بينما السفن الأخرى سواء الحربية أو التجارية فتتوقف بشكل مؤقت وتحتجز داخل منطقة البحيرات المرة. في هذه النقطة بعينها شاءت الأقدار أن تتجمع 14 سفينة من جنسيات مختلفة، 4 منها إنجليزية، 2 ألمانيتان، 2 من بولندا، وأخريان من السويد، 1 فرنسية وأخرى تشيكية، 1 أمريكية و1 بلغارية. التقى الأسطول الغريب في البحيرات المرة، وتحتم عليه التوقف والانتظار إلى أجل غير مسمى لحين معرفة آخر التطورات.
It turned out we became trapped because we noticed very soon afterwards, within a matter of days, that a dredger had been sunk, it seemed to us, training our binoculars on it, at the northern entrance, and as we understood it, that they'd probably done the same thing to the south of us. So the idea of us making an escape, something like that, certainly to the south, seemed we're doomed. There was probably no possibility whatsoever.
There was no satellite navigations, there was no internet or no telephones or anything like that in those days. The only kind of thing that we had was the main ship's radio, which we could communicate all over the world with. And that was locked up by the Egyptian authorities to stop us using that, because let's face it, we could possibly have sent, you know, a lot of information as to what was going on. So we weren't allowed to do that. And to stop us from doing that, we had a policeman on board each ship, and his job was to look after the interests of the Egyptian authorities and ensure that we did not use that radio.
Shortly after we were there, the captain of our ship thought, we do need to get in touch with these other people. And he made it his business to get in the lifeboat, because the lifeboat was our taxi. We lowered the ship's lifeboat down, we got in our taxi and went round to all the other ships and suggested to those people, we're here to make the best of this that we possibly can. And they all agreed that this would be a rather good idea. From following on from that, then they came up with a number of unique ideas as to how they could best improve life for everybody on the lake. One of the lifeboats manned by one of the officers on board the ship went to the Israeli side, and I think that they were taken ashore by the Israelis and sent back to London. So at all costs, we stayed out of the Israeli side. But there was an occasion in the early days when we went out that a memo came from the Egyptian side to say that any of the boats sailing outside the perimeter of the ships in the canal will be shot upon.
A couple of months had passed. We'd been told that the International Red Cross were trying to talk to both parties, Egyptians and Israelis, about what they could do for the crews who were trapped. The captain had decided that if we could keep a skeleton crew on board, then the rest of the crew could be repatriated. And the Egyptian authorities and the Israeli authorities allowed an air corridor from Athens through to Cairo. I was one of the skeleton crew. I was a young man, I was 20, I was a seaman, and all the captains wanted that in the event that the canal would open, we just needed sufficient crew to man the vessel and take it out to port side and the Mediterranean side. I didn't really understand or appreciate what the dangers might have been at that point. I just thought, well, okay, I'm the youngest, I'm not married, I haven't got children, or I'm not old, yeah, it should be me that stays here. And forever, or however long it takes for this conflict to end. I had no idea it was going to end up the way it did.
انتهى القتال وتوقفت الصواريخ ومدافع الدبابات وهمدت معها محركات السفن، وبات من شبه المؤكد احتجاز الأسطول الأصفر وطواقمه في القناة لأجل غير معلوم. ومع مرور الوقت وغموض المصير قررت الشركات المالكة اعتماد العمل بنظام تبديل الطواقم على أن يبقى فريق لمدة 4 أشهر وبعدها يحل مكانه آخر جديد. انغلقت الدائرة على الأسطول بإحكام، فتقلص تواصله مع العالم الخارجي إلا في أضيق الحدود كحالات المرض الشديد مثلا. أما شؤونه الداخلية فقد تحتم على الجميع التفاهم فيما بينهم لتدبير احتياجاتهم الضرورية بالاعتماد على أنفسهم دون أدنى استعانة بالخارج.
We were expecting to be home in about 10 days' time. The ship had obviously, we got enough bunkers, oil and water to sort of get us home. We weren't planning on stopping and all the rest of it, so we obviously had to take stock of what we got, sort of thing. So we had to very carefully sort of look after our fuel consumption, the generators and all the lighting and all that sort of thing, and the consumption of fresh water and all the rest of it. So we had to conserve it as much as we possibly could. Food we seemed to have plenty of, which was good. I checked. And I can remember very well myself eating every meal that I had, because you didn't know what might happen. So every meal was your last meal. If you like, it was your last supper.
We did have an abundance of things of edible stuff that we had as cargoes on the ships. Remember, the ships came from all over the Far East and Australia. They'd come from, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Philippines. They'd come from Australia, and they were loaded with all sorts of goods, And about the same time as I was there, the companies, the ship owners had said, look, all this cargo is going to be a constructive total loss. It will not be used again, you know. Okay, there was things like rubber and tea. I mean, there was thousands of tons of tea and cases of tea. There was thousands of tons of rubber and bales of rubber. But the stuff that was good for us in the canal, we were told that we could use. So we had to have a wee snoop around in the hatches, and we had found all sorts of boxes full of clothes. You know, like one of the ships had been to Vietnam, and it was full of frozen prawns. The Australian ships, they were all full of frozen meat, you know, lamb and stuff like that. So we didn't go short. All the stuff was handed round the lake, you know, so there was really no problem at all.
If your ship, if you was on the American ship, as an example, and you didn't have any fresh fruit, because you could get skin scurvy if you don't eat in there. You're just stuck on this ship in the middle of the lake with the sun belting down all the time. So your captain would have spoke to my captain and said, look, can you give me some of your cargo? I said, of course we can. But it's about sustaining life. So we would go and open the hatches down below, open the fridges, get out 4 carcasses of lamb, go and open the fridge doors to where all the apples were, 4 boxes of apples come out, go and pears, get them out, canned fruit, you know, which have been produced in Australia and canned for shipping back to Europe, to the UK. And our lifeboat would be down in the water basically to its gunnels with what we would put in to take to your ship to give you. And then you would want to thank us for that. So you would say, well, look, the only thing I've got is whatever. Take that back. And that's changing for changing.
Time went on in the canal. After a couple of years, the cargoes within the holds of the ships was deteriorating, and in particular on the ships that had come from Australia, where they had frozen food. It was costing a lot of money every day to keep the freezers going, to keep this stuff cool. They also had lots of things like apples and chilled rooms, and they realised that, you know, there was a limit as to how long they can afford to keep these cargoes in reasonable condition. They did ask for permission to try and ship those across land to Alexandria and get them shipped from there, but I understand that the Israeli authorities would not allow that to happen. So the decision was made to try and get rid of that stuff. We had no option but to dump that over the side. I suppose we fed the fish, if nothing else, you know.
لم يكن توفير الطعام والمحافظة على سلامة الأفراد التحدي الوحيد أمام الأسطول، ولكن المحافظة على سلامة السفن أيضاً، كصيانة المحركات وتنظيف الأسطح وإصلاحها في الوقت نفسه الذي يتعين عليهم فيه الاقتصاد في الوقود والاعتماد على ما هو موجود بالفعل.
Ich war Matrose, also Schiff instand halten und wenn wir unterwegs sind, mal wegen oben steuern und so weiter. Ne? Also das war unsere Aufgabe. Ne? Schiff anstreichen, neue Farbe und so weiter. Renovierung auf dem Schiff, also Schiff instand halten, neue Farbe geben und so weiter. Dann wird immer das Schiff muss man streichen. Ne? Ist ja rostig und dann Rost ab und dann Farbe drauf. Ne? Also das war unsere Arbeit hauptsächlich. Ne? Und dann ein bisschen Sand fegen daher, wenn der Sandsturm kam. Wichtig war ja die Maschine, dass sie lief, dass man dann nach Hause fahren konnte, wenn das soweit war. Das war das Wichtigste, ja. Und dann sind wir jeden Monat einmal den Anker hoch, einmal am See gefahren und dann wieder fahren gegangen, damit die Maschine mal lief. Damit man zu jeder Zeit und Stunde sagen konnte, wir können nach Hause fahren, wenn der Kanal auf ist. Ne?
My responsibilities on board the ship were to ensure that all the electrical apparatus and electronic apparatus on board the ship was kept in first-class working order, because we expected to be out of the canal any day. So had we gone to another port from the canal, the ship's deck officers would have expected all the electronic equipment and electrical equipment to unload the cargo. So even though we were in the canal, I still had to do what we then called routine duties to ensure that everything was checked, that it was working, and it was in good order.
ظل الجميع في حالة ترقب واستعداد وانتظار للحظات المغادرة الوشيكة، إلا أنها لم تأتي بسهولة. دام التوقف سنوات ولم تنعم المنطقة بالهدوء، فبمجرد انتهاء حرب عام 1967 واستمرار احتلال إسرائيل للأرض وتعنتها واستهانتها بالقرارات الأممية الداعية إلى الانسحاب، دخلت المنطقة مرحلة نوعية مختلفة من الحروب، إذ خيمت المعارك ونزالات حرب الاستنزاف ل3 سنوات على المكان، وأدت إلى استمرار إغلاق القناة وبقاء الأسطول. انشغل العالم بأحداث الحرب الباردة والمناطق المشتعلة فيه، ولم يكن موضوع الأسطول معروفا له ولا مدرجا على قائمة أولوياته، فما كان من سكانه المعزولين إلا أن حاولوا بشتى الطرق تذكير العالم بوجودهم وبأحوالهم، مكونين رغم جنسياتهم المختلفة كيانا موحدا وهوية مستقلة، مع أنهم كانوا ينحدرون من دول يعادي بعضها بعضا خلال حقبة الحرب الباردة.
We were very much a community because there were only 27 people on board our ship, and many of the other ships had reduced crew like that. The company didn't have a full complement, which would have been about 70 personnel on board a ship, but we were down to 28. So it was necessary then to make friends with all the other ships, with the American ships and the Swedish ships and the Polish ships and the other British ships. So it was very important that we got in touch with them and made a good relationship with them.
Not long after the ships arrived there, they started this, what they called the Great Bitter Lake Association. The concept was developed by one of the masters of the Blue Funnel ships and the master of the Swedish ship Kalara, and they thought this would be a good idea to set something up for the welfare of the crews and just give them something to do.
I was contacted by Mr. Jim Starkey, who was a captain on at one time on board the Port Invercargill, and he suggested that we all should get together to form a group called the Great Bitter Lakes Association, which I was very happy to join. And in joining that, I got a nice tie with a little anchor on it in the 14 ships, which we were very proud of. And I got a badge for my car and regular correspondence from all the people who had been in the lakes at that time.
Anyone could join the GBLA, anyone who went to the canal. And indeed, over the years, there must have been like about 1,000 people had been out there. And they were all invited to join the GBL. there was diplomats, and there was agents, there was all sorts of people, you name them. Lots and lots of the media crews come out there to interview, and especially with senior politicians. And the senior politicians was quite a good time for us to kind of have a word with them about things that we didn't like and things that we would like to see changed out there. And these questions normally went to the head of government in UK, and we got an answer from Lord so and so and Lord so and so, you know. So it was quite good in that respect. The GBLA continued through the time that the ships were stuck in the canal, and there was all sorts of things organised through that media. We had Olympic Games being held in Mexico in 1968, I think, and so the Polish ships decided to have a mini Olympics, and of course they organised all sorts of things.
Ich glaube, es war vielleicht die Allgemeinheit, die gesagt hat, wir müssen was machen. Und dass sie sich dann zusammengesetzt haben und sagt, gut, wir machen Olympiade. Und dann wurde ja auch mal geguckt, was kann man machen. Es war vom Gewichtsheben über Hochsprung, über Segeln, also wir haben ja fast alles gemacht. Ne? Fußball, es wurde alles gemacht. Und für jede Disziplin gab es daher auch Medaillen. Und ich habe die Silbermedaille noch mit. Also ich habe die Silbermedaille im Segeln damit gewonnen. Wir waren mit 6 Mann. Und die Medaille habe ich ja noch mit, die habe ich immer noch. Und die Medaillen, die waren aus Blei gegossen. Und das haben die Polen gemacht. Beidseitig, also Silber, Bronze, Gold, die wurden dann eben mit Farbe angestrichen. Und dann wurden die Medaillen verteilt.
When they started this GBLA, mail home was a little bit difficult at times, so the crew on there developed some stamps. The idea was that we didn't belong to Israel and we didn't belong to Egypt. We were a community on our own, and this was trying to set our identity. We had our own stamps. And over the years there was hundreds of those stamps developed by the crews. They were made initially just drawn by hand, and the cadets on the ship would colour them in the various colours with felt and pens, whatever they had. But after that, then, I know in my time, we did them either on a piece of linoleum, or we did them on like an eraser rubber. We would cut it out and we could stamp them onto the ship. Now those stamps were sent on our mail going back to the UK, and they became quite internationally known and a collector's item because of the fact that some of those stamps went to worldwide, America, Australia, all over Britain, Germany, France, using those stamps, which were homemade. We were never very sure if the mail would go home just using those. So there was 2 other ways we did it. We put on Egyptian stamps as well, along with our own stamps, and the Egyptian authorities would frank those and send them on, the Egyptian postal authorities. Or we would put on our GBLA stamps and then give them to a crew member who was going to Germany or the States or whatever, and he would post them at home.
في أكتوبر من عام 1973 تحقق عبور القناة واستعادة الأرض، واكتملت ثلاثية الحروب التي خيمت على أرجاء المنطقة وتسببت في إغلاق القناة كل تلك السنوات، وبات ملحا فتحها من جديد. فتنفس الأسطول الصعداء وأصبح مستعدا للعودة كل إلى وطنه. إلا أن الأمر لم يكن بتلك السهولة، فقد تطلب عامين آخرين لإزالة العوائق الغارقة ومخلفات الحروب، فيما كان السنوات التوقف والانعزال الثماني وسط رمال الصحراء ومناخ المنطقة الحار كفيلة بإضعاف المحركات وتدهور حالة السفن، وبات من المستحيل عودتها دون سحبها أو قطرها بسفن أخرى أو رافعات. وحدها السفن الألمانية التي تمكنت من العودة بمفردها بعد عملية إحياء للمحركات في شهور التوقف الأخيرة ووصول طاقم جديد لهذه المهمة.
Mein Name ist Wilhelm Schifferdecker. Ich war zum Zeitpunkt des Einsatzes 35 Jahre alt und ich habe auf der Münsterland und auf der Nordwind meinen Dienst versehen. Meine Aufgaben waren, die beiden Schiffe so vorzubereiten, dass, wenn beide Besatzungen von Hamburg, die vollen Besatzungen kommen, dass die also einziehen können auf dem Schiff. Da ist mehrere Jahre ist da niemand auf dem Schiff gewesen, weil die Reedereien beschlossen haben, die Besatzungen, die sonst dort waren, alle abzuziehen und haben die Aufgabe Wachmannschaften überlassen, die nur aufgepasst haben, dass keine fremden Leute auf die Schiffe gehen. Wir haben nachts auch kleine Probefahrten gemacht, 30 Meter vorwärts, 30 Meter rückwärts, damit wir beobachten konnten, ob die Maschine anspringt, ob sie läuft und ob alles normal geht. Jeder Tag war ohne Sport und ohne Olympiade nur Arbeit. Und wir haben ja dann das Ziel erreicht, dass die Schiffe fahrbereit waren, beide. Und dann kam plötzlich dann von der Reederei in Hamburg die freudige Mitteilung, dass Herr Sadat den Suezkanal freigeben würde und wir sollen uns darauf vorbereiten. Und dann sind die Besatzungen, die vollen Besatzungen für die Nordwind und für die Münsterland, waren Hunderte von Journalisten sind da schon auf Standby gewesen, die dann alle an Bord genommen wurden. Und dann sind wir die Elbe raufgefahren und waren also sehr erstaunt, dass da eine riesige Menge von Menschen uns empfangen hat. Und es ist eigentlich ein großes Fest gewesen, aber ein Fest für die Bevölkerung. Und wir sind froh gewesen, dass wir das endlich geschafft haben. Wir waren auch sehr stolz, dass es unsere Arbeit war, die die beiden Schiffe nach Hause gebracht hat.
when I come back home, the Suez Canal never left my mind. It had such an effect upon me that it became part of my life, the experience that I had on the lake. And I carry it through every day, every week, and every year. Somewhere in my mind, I will think of my time in the Suez Canal. And mostly, it is very, very good. The experience for a young person of 23 years of age to be in such a dangerous environment, to turn the dangerous environment into one where we could have recreation and to a certain extent enjoy ourselves, was an experience not to be missed. And I would not have missed being in the Suez Canal under any circumstances. It added greatly to my life, and I think it helped to make me as a person.